Travel Support Thursday, episode 3.
Woo! Welcome back.
We're back once again. First of all, thank you all so much for all the awesome questions and comments and everything else that we got last week. It was really great to see all that.
It was so nice to hear from all of you, all of your support, all of your encouragement, all of the people out there that travel the way that we do. It seems like real people, real travel. And it was really nice to hear the support for the jingle.
Oh man, which jingle? Which jingle are you talking about?
Give me a beat. Travel Thursday. Travel Thursday.
Getting a tattoo is a good way to save money.
What?
Episode 3. So if you're new here, I'm Josh.
I'm Lisa.
And we're all about helping you travel the world on $100 a day on a pretty reasonable budget. You know, like real travel for real people. And by that I mean we're not talking about some like insane, unattainable $20,000 plane ticket. Or for some reason, I saw this YouTube video the other day where a guy went to every single Disney World on planet Earth. There's like one in Hong Kong and one in Paris and two and they went to all of them within 100 hours, which seems
very unlikely.
I don't understand why. I mean, it's entertaining, but that's not how anyone that I've ever met travels at all. So we're all about travel for real people doing real stuff.
And this series is all about answering your travel questions directly. We get a lot of questions from all of you on our YouTube channel and our Breakfast with Lisa and Josh newsletter and on our Instagram DMs, but we don't always have a chance to individually answer every single one. So this video podcast brought to you on YouTube and a podcast platform near you is meant to answer all of those questions directly. So every Thursday, wherever in the world we are, we're going to answer your questions. So feel free to leave a travel questions in the comments below.
And I have one request here, which is that don't be afraid to get like really specific about your question. Like if you're just sitting there and you're like, I want to go to Italy next summer and I don't know how to get there for free with the points I have. Lisa and Josh, please help me find a good award flight so that way I can fly to Italy for free. Ask that question, and then we'll walk through the entire process, and then probably everyone else watching will be like, whoa, I learned a lot from how that happened. So now I, too, can book an award flight for free to Italy.
And maybe you guys will see each other in Italy.
Yeah, or maybe we'll be on the same plane.
Or same gondola ride.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Travel support. Every Thursday, that's what we do.
Yes, we're here to support you. We're here to support you. Okay, so what questions do we got today?
Ooh, we got a lot. Okay, so we are answering a lot of your questions from last week. Today, we're going to talk about what we do with our credit cards once we get the sign-up bonuses. And how does that, if they do, how does it impact our credit score? We're going to talk about how we get mail on the road and how YouTube monetization works. Oh boy.
Boy, is that a complicated topic. Okay.
A lot of analytics.
Yeah.
We're going to answer your question about how we think about full-time travel versus short 2-week, 3-week vacations now. And most importantly, today we're going to talk about how one tattoo can be the ultimate travel hack.
Oh man, I can't wait for this one. I can't wait for this one. Okay, so our first one today comes from 3 different people. So Angela, NE9CY, Craig Mitsushima, and Wayne Go Productions. All of them asked basically the same thing, which is like, what do you do about the annual fees? Do you cancel your credit cards once you get the big bonuses? How do you sort of handle the closing out of the credit cards once you've actually gotten the thing that you wanted out of them?
Yeah. So we'll talk about our approach.
Yep.
How other people and how you might approach it will be different. But in general, if we think it's a pretty good credit card that we might hold on to, we just keep it open. And if the annual fees aren't too high, like if it's $95 per year and we think that the credit card perks are worth it, we might just keep the credit cards. But in general, once we receive the sign-up bonus, we start talking about whether we want to keep this, but most of them we end up canceling.
Yeah, I think there's some really important things to note in the middle of all this, which is that let's say you sign up for a credit card and it offers you like 60,000 United miles after you spend some amount of money in the first 3 months. Once you get those miles, you can cancel the credit card at any time and you will still have all of those United miles. You will lose all the perks that are specific to the credit card, which might be like lounge access or it might be like discounts on food and beverage while you're on the flight or whatever. But those points, as long as they're not with the credit card. So for example, if you get Chase points, if you cancel your Chase credit card, you will lose all of those Chase points. But If the credit card moves the points from wherever the credit card is to a different company, like from the Chase card you signed up to United, and you cancel, you'll still have all those points.
Or, for example, if you have a credit card that gets you American Airlines miles and your miles, after you reach the sign up bonus, show up in your American Airlines account,
Mm-hmm.
you're good to go. You get to keep those points whether you cancel the card or not.
Yeah, yeah. So totally fine there. There are some other questions around like, what does this do to your credit score, or what do you do with the annual fees? So I want to talk about the annual fee part first, because I
Yeah.
think this is a big misconception, and I think a place where a lot of people have a lot of fear when it comes to signing up for credit cards. In that, like, you'll see, for example, Chase Sapphire Reserve, it has a $550 annual fee, which is one of the highest. I think the only one higher than it is the American Express Platinum at like $700 per
Yeah.
year. Huge amount of money. That's a gigantic annual fee. But this, as well as any of the other cards that have a big annual fee, they generally offset themselves. And normally they offset themselves so much that the annual fee is basically zero. So with the Chase one, for example, it's got like a $300 travel credit. Bam, your 550 annual fee all the way down to 250.
It's got $100 global entry / TSA pre-check
Mhm.
application fee credit. So if those of you who travel internationally a ton and you get global entry, this credit card will pay for that back. So that's another $100 there from the annual fee.
Yep. Lounge access, depending on how much you travel, is actually really valuable. We use
Mhm.
this all the time, and it is super valuable for us. That's worth probably $100 per year for us, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
And then it's also got like travel insurance on top of it. And then it's also got 5x point bonuses on top of it for some things, and discounts with certain places. For example, I think our card also gives us like access to Lyft Premium or whatever,
Or
Lyft
DoorDash or
or
something like
DoorDash,
that.
something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, something that we don't use a lot, but some people may find that very exciting. So usually these annual fees are generally heavily reduced or reduced all the way to zero. But you should still do the math of each year, is this credit card, is the annual fee worth it?
Mhm.
So for the Chase one, we keep it around the Chase Sapphire Reserve because lounge access for us is worth a ton. And then that $300 annual credit and plus the other random stuff, it's ROI positive for us.
And every time we spend money, like either at the grocery stores or the gas station, whatever purchases we're making, we're generally using that card. And when you use that card, you're getting points anyway. This is not an ad for Chase
No,
Sapphire Reserve or for any credit card, but
not
this
at
is
all.
generally how we think about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's ultimately a decision that like you have to make. Is this something that's worth it for me in the long run? And is this annual fee worth it with all the perks that you get with the credit cards?
Yeah, yeah. So the way that we do this is each of us keeps one, maybe two credit cards that we
Mhm.
keep open forever. And this is for two reasons. One, because the annual fee is worth it. And two, because it allows our credit score to keep going up and up because our length of credit history keeps getting longer. And we'll talk more about credit score in a second. Cards that fit that bill for us, the cards that we still have around today, is both of us have a Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is a little bit redundant. We both have
Yeah.
lounge access, and I don't know. It's a great card because we both have so many Chase points and we just haven't found the right way to spend them all yet. So we're still just kind of keeping them around. And then I have an IHG card because it gets me a free night at an IHG property. The annual fee is only $85, maybe $95.
Yeah.
And the hotel, a night at that hotel is usually like $150 to $200. So it makes total sense to keep those cards around. But for most of them, 90% of them we cancel before the first year annual fee comes up.
Yeah. We definitely take the time to read the fine print, right? To make sure we're spending the minimum amount to make that sign up bonus and we're getting the sign up bonus. But we also have to double check, yeah, like when does the sign up bonus arrive? How long does it take? And do they expire? Or if I cancel this credit card, will the points go with it? So we definitely, before we cancel any credit card, we do those things to make sure. I think right now I have a Capital One Venture card that I opened up in the last couple of years, which was great for the sign up bonus. But it is one of those cards that if I cancel without using up those points, then I lose those points completely. So that's one of the reasons why we've kept that card.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about credit score because
Yeah.
I think this is a hot topic of conversation for anyone who's signing up for these things. And I just want to start by saying that it's important to note
We are not your financial advisor.
we are not your financial advisors. And two, your credit score does not reflect your value or worth as a human being.
Oh, that's very sweet.
And I think for a lot of people, they've just internalized this idea that like that the credit score that you have, this number applied to, is like a direct number that represents like how good you are at money or like
Yeah.
how good of a person you are, and it's neither of those things.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't spend too much time like worrying about it or like taking it personally if your credit score is bad or good or whatever. It says nothing about you as a person.
Mm.
It's just a number. It's just a number. Okay, that being said, a lot of people have dreams to buy houses, and a lot of people have dreams to get credit cards and to get new cars and to do all the other things you can do with a
Yeah, it's a
credit score.
very real unit, unfortunately, that everybody uses to measure.
Yes,
Yeah,
but it's
measure
not
what you can
you. It's
accessible.
not you.
Yeah.
Right? Like it doesn't represent you as a person. It's just this arbitrary score that like these three companies all collaborated together to kind of determine credit trustworthiness, and there's so many factors that go into this, and it's such an absolutely bafflingly calculated number.
Don't you wish they taught you this in like high
I-
school,
right.
middle school, right? Like I know we talk about this all the time, but why didn't we have a financial planning class in high school or middle
Yes.
school?
Yes.
I don't know. There's always a story. We've heard so many stories. There's so many reasons why credit scores can fluctuate and how people end up in the place that they are in with their credit score and with their credit, and it just
Yeah, yeah. And it's so arbitrary. Anyway, I have many gripes about how credit scores work in the United States and elsewhere in the world. I don't want to go too far down that road. Okay, so here's been my experience of how my credit score moves around based upon a couple of different factors that I've noticed and a bunch of research that I've done.
Mm.
Okay? So let's say theoretically, actually I'll just tell you, look, my credit score right now is 803. That makes the math harder. My credit score right now is 800. It's actually 803, but we're going to do 800 because it makes the math easier, okay? So, every time that you sign up for a new credit card or anyone checks your credit score for any reason, and it doesn't matter if you're approved or declined, you get a 5-point hit on your credit score. So,
Yeah.
let's say that I go online and I apply for a new credit card, I would then have a 795 credit score. So, then over the next couple of months, no matter if you were approved or declined for the credit card, or you pay your bill or you don't, those 5 points are going to be put back onto your credit score. And the only reason they do this is to prevent you from applying for too many lines of credit at the same time. So they just build in this 5-point hit so that way eventually if you applied for like 20 things of credit, you would eventually have a 700 credit score, which would put you under what most of these credit card lenders would allow to get some of their fancier, more premium cards or an auto loan or anything else like that. So once you have this hit of the 5-point on your credit score, it then goes into your credit profile online. And probably a lot of you have done online credit checks, right? And it lists
Mhm.
all of the different credit cards you have and all the credit cards that you have had over time, as well as any like mortgages you have or car loans or anything like that. And then it'll show you how frequently you've paid these things off and how big of a revolving credit limit you have, which is basically like how much money you spend on your credit cards and other things each month versus how much total credit you have, right? And this is another indicator of how good your credit score is. But so here's what happens. Let's say that I apply for this credit card. It then brings my credit score down to 795, and they give me like a $10,000 credit limit on this credit card. Those 5 points will slowly be refunded over the next couple of months. So I'll equalize back up to 800. And then because I now have more credit available to me, and because I'm spending theoretically the same amount every single month, like let's say I'm always spending $2,000 a month, but now I have twice as much credit available to me. So the credit card companies and the credit score companies will then see me as a more trustworthy borrower because I have more available credit, but I'm still spending that same amount. So it's a smaller percentage.
You didn't go out and buy that brand new Ferrari.
Right. I didn't go out and buy a yacht or whatever as
I
soon
don't
as
actually know how much those cost.
so from their perspective, you actually look like a better borrower generally over time because you are spending a smaller percentage of your available credit.
You have all this money available to you, but you're not spending
You're
it.
not spending it. Right. You're not spending it. This is crucial.
Not spending what you don't have.
Yes. But if you do spend all that credit, all of a sudden this new credit that you get, and you also fail to make monthly payments, your credit score is going to plummet immediately. And we're talking like 30 to 40 points. I think these are like the big rules that you got to follow generally whenever you sign up for these things, which is you got to have a credit score above 750 to start, and then Also, you got to pay off all of your balance on all of your credit cards and all of your other various things. Like if you have a mortgage or if you have a car payment or whatever, all of that gets paid every single month. And if you don't do that, you shouldn't start any of these hobbies in the first place.
Mm.
Just too risky. It's just too risky.
Yeah. And so I think to answer some of the questions that came up on what we do with our credit cards after we receive the sign up bonuses, do we cancel them? And does that impact our credit score? So
Yeah.
the short answer is yes, it can.
Mm-hmm.
When we cancel our credit cards, any of them, there is a little marker, a ping on your credit score that says you closed down an account, and that does impact your credit score, but very, very small amounts.
Yeah, because it's changing that percentage. You all of a sudden have less credit available, but you're still spending that same amount. So you look very slightly like a less trustworthy borrower because you're spending a higher percentage of your available credit.
But in general, I think as we've done this and we've followed kind of those golden rules of making sure that we keep at least 1 or 2 lines of credit, like our oldest credit cards, we keep open for as long as possible. And we pay off all of our credit card payments, and we pay off all of our credit cards every single month. We've seen our credit score rebound even if we've canceled a credit card after receiving the sign-up bonus.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's one more factor that we can't miss, which is that it's an overall average of how long you've had credit available. And there's one really easy, I guess, hack to this system, which is just always keep the first credit card you ever got.
Yeah, like the one from college that you signed up for that one time because you got a free t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no benefits, no perks other than that free t-shirt, and someone got you to sign up, and even though there's maybe nothing on it,
yeah,
it might be worth keeping.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So this is what both of us have done, where
Yeah.
we both still have these credit cards around that we've had for like 15 to 20 years at this point, right? Like forever. And also, the reason that this works is because it kind of anchors your credit score of like you'll have one line of credit that's been open for like 15 years or however long it's been. And then you'll sign up for a bunch of other ones along the way, right? And then this one you'll keep for 9 months, and this one you keep for 3 years, and this one you keep for 2 years or whatever. But as long as you still have this one that keeps getting like older that you keep around over time, then the average of all of these will still average out relatively high, which will keep your credit score above this 750 or up into the 800 range.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I know, big info dump about credit scores, and I'm sorry that we got to talk about this because the system is so incredibly convoluted. And this is our experience, right? Like your experience probably will be different, but this is everything that we've learned about the system after signing up and closing down probably like 50 to 60 credit cards over the past handful of years. But also like talk to your fiduciary or financial advisor or whatever you've got in your life that helps you with your financial stuff.
Fiduciary.
Yes, and they will know, obviously, hopefully, significantly more than we do about this, and they'll definitely know a lot more about your personal circumstances.
And I think we would be remiss to not talk about this. I mean, I think in general there are also just a lot of hidden rules with like what kinds of credit cards you can apply for, what kinds you can have at any given moment.
Some credit card companies have their own specific rules which prevent you from signing up for a bunch of credit cards just from them. Like, for example, the most famous of this is Chase's 524 rule, which means you can't sign up, which means if you sign up for 5 credit cards from any company or from any, even like you get a Citibank card and a Barclays card and you get a Bank of America card or whatever, 5 total within a 24-month period.
So 2 years.
Yep. You can't sign up for any more Chase cards after that until that like time clock goes out where you've only signed up for 4 within that 24-month period.
Yeah. It's a lot. It can feel overwhelming, but if this is something that you're really, really into, there are lots of resources online, on Reddit, all about credit card churning, how to kind of navigate the system. But when done responsibly and in a way that like suits your personal lifestyle, like we've found it extremely, extremely beneficial and really helpful for us when we travel.
Yeah. So we also talk about this at length, and I mean for hours, on our Skillshare course that we have about this exact topic. So if you want to check that out, we'll put the link down in the description below. It's on Skillshare. There's a lot of info on it. You might like it. I don't know. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. If not, just keep asking more questions on here and we'll just keep giving you the info on here.
Question 2. So these are actually a compilation of questions in follow-up from last week's podcast, which is talking about our finances and whether the money that we make from YouTube helps support our travels indefinitely. The short answer is kinda, but check out that video if you want to from last week. This question comes from Carly Lilly, who says, "Great video. Thanks. How does it work when you get YouTube Premium and there are no ads? How do content creators get paid? Is it just via interacting in the comments? And what does liking a video do to help you? Want to make sure I can support my fave content creators where possible."
Oh,
Thanks so
man.
much, Carly Lilly. That's really kind and a really, really complicated question that we would love to delve into.
Yeah, so where should we start? Okay, let's start from the easiest one. What does liking a video do? And why do all creators ask you to do it? Okay, so the YouTube algorithm, constantly changing at all times.
And still something that we're trying to grapple with.
Yes, totally unpredictable. So my understanding of this and what we've seen through making this stuff for like 3.5 years is that liking a video shows it. Liking a video triggers the YouTube algorithm to show it to more people who might be interested in it. So if other people are like watching travel content or they're watching podcasts or they're watching like personal finance stuff, of which this podcast has slowly morphed into like Voltron of those three things.
What's the sound for a Voltron?
I don't know.
Sound effect here. I'll find one.
If they're searching for those three things and then you happen to go on in there and like the thing, then the YouTube algorithm will then show that video to other people who are also interested in that same thing. How many of those people a like is worth, I have no idea.
And I think commenting on your favorite content creators' videos also goes along in that same vein. It shows people that this is something that you're interested in, you're engaged with, and you're trying to like communicate with them and with other people. And generally, the more comments, probably the more likely other people are commenting. And maybe YouTube will again share this with more people because they think other people might be interested in engaging with the same kind of content.
Yes. And to be clear, we don't make any money from interacting in the comments. There's no like direct revenue connection there.
Yeah.
We just do it because we like talking to y'all.
It's true.
That's the only reason. Okay, so moving on to like, how does it work when you get YouTube Premium and then you're not actually seeing any ads? So we actually get a higher percentage from YouTube Premium subscribers than we do from just people who don't have YouTube Premium and actually just watch the ads.
Really?
Yes. So they're paying like $12 a month or $13. I don't know. I don't remember exactly how much it is, but it's $13 or $12 a month for YouTube Premium right now.
Which means that you essentially aren't watching ads while you're watching YouTube.
Yes,
YouTube
yeah,
Premium?
it just like turns off all the ads inside of YouTube and does some other things inside of YouTube that are also cool. So we sign up for YouTube Premium. I think it's great. So from that $13 a month, right, like any video that you watch, it actually calculates how many videos you've watched over that monthly period. And then it just divides that YouTube Premium revenue, that $13, and just directly gives it to the creators. Also, with YouTube, I think taking like a 40% cut out of that. So it's just like a slightly bigger piece of the pie from each person that is giving money to YouTube versus those that are just watching and then watching the ads as well. The math here is very incomprehensible is the word I would use to describe how this math actually adds up. And it's also incredibly unpredictable, which is why last week we talked about we make somewhere between like $2,000 and $6,000 per month. And you might listen to that and be like, well, that's unhelpful. I mean, isn't it consistent? We agree. It is totally unhelpful and totally inconsistent. And most of it is entirely outside of our control. Sometimes, like in December, all of the ad rates go up and everybody on YouTube makes a little bit more money. And then in January, it just plummets back down real far. For reasons entirely incomprehensible.
Like major Sunday blues. I don't know. January blues.
Yeah, everyone's just hungover.
The holidays are over.
From New Year's or whatever. But for whatever reason, there's seasonality to it. There's differentiation to it. It depends on which country the person who watched the video comes from. It's totally inconsistent, totally unpredictable. And there's a reason why every single YouTuber out there, I guess besides us because we don't, there's a reason why almost every YouTuber out there tells you to like and subscribe to their video, and it's because it's helpful. It's helpful for a lot of reasons. sharing this video to new people who might be interested in it, sending YouTube a positive signal that like this is a quality video. There's a reason for that, but honestly, like the most helpful thing, like the biggest thing that you can do is if you watch a video, like if you watch our 3 days in Tokyo video,
Mm.
and then one of your friends wants to go to Tokyo and you're like, hold on, I got to send you this video before you go there, and you tell them about us and you like share that word of mouth is the most valuable thing. And I think for a couple reasons. One, because it showed like the video was useful to you and that it was useful enough to you that you would send that along to someone else. Like that's so big. Like that means the world to us. It means the world to us. Screw all the analytics, screw all the numbers, screw all the liking and thumbs upping, like that like actually helping you, and then by proxy you then sending our stuff to your friends and then also helping them. That's all we want. That's the most important thing, and that's the only thing that we really care about.
I think in general, your question about how to support your favorite content creators is really, I mean, first of all, just really kind, because I think we really appreciate any amount of interaction, whether it's just watching our videos, liking it, sharing it, subscribing, and just letting us know how you feel, because your feedback generally helps us, right, make better content and answer your questions directly so that we can help you travel. I think with YouTube, and probably with any line of work, there's endless amount of stats and analytics that you can get into to try and, I don't know, make more money or get more views, get more subscribers, etc. But I don't know, the thing that we love the most is like connecting and hearing from you what your thoughts on travel, what your thoughts are on these questions that we get every single week. This long ramble is just to say thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you for asking questions.
Yeah.
After saying that we don't really care about the numbers of the analytics,
Yeah.
we are very interested in this question, which comes from MeLG1W1YW, which just seems like a generated password.
Me LG1EW.
So anyway, who says, have you ever calculated how much YouTube pays you per hour of work creating your videos?
This is going to be so depressing. Yes. Okay. So all right. How would we figure this out?
So
Okay.
we have to think about how much time we spend filming.
Yes.
And then how much time I spend editing.
All right. Okay. So let's figure this out. Let's do this in 2 ways. I think we do this over the past 12 months, which is really the only time that we've started making any money with this. And then we do it for the lifetime.
Okay.
Per hour, per person. Right.
Per person? No, that seems even sadder.
Okay. So can you bring up your calculator and we'll start figuring this out?
Yes.
So like when we're filming, we're probably filming for like 12 to 14 hours a day, right? Like that's all we do all day from sun up to sundown. So we'll leave it like...
Are we awake for that? Yeah.
Yeah, from 8 a.m. and then we'll finish up the video at night, right? 12 hours a day. And then when we're not filming, some days we'll edit, right? A lot of days we'll edit and do work that day.
Let's take an example of our most recent filming trip.
Okay.
So like 12 hours per day. And let's say we
do
filmed
3 times a week or whatever. Yeah. For our 3 days in. Yeah.
Or even 4 sometimes.
Yeah, even 4.
Okay. So that's 48 hours of just filming a week.
Yep.
And then let's say I edited on that trip. I mean,
which you did, right?
It's just, yeah.
So I would think it would take you probably like 50 to 60 hours of work time to edit a video. It's just like a ballpark figure.
Okay.
And then while you're doing that, I'm finding music and I'm responding to brands and telling them no. And I am doing accounting stuff, and I am writing the next videos, or I'm writing the newsletter.
So that's like 48 hours of filming.
Yeah.
And then like 50 hours of editing, let's say.
Right.
And that's over the course of a week?
Yeah, in a week. So if we divide that by 2, that's like 50 hours a week per person. About. So, okay, so let's just take that number. That's probably I think that's under. If I had to guess, that's under the amount of hours that we work on this right now. So at 50 hours per week times 2, that's 100 hours per week times 52 weeks in a year. And we do this every week. We've never really taken like a full break.
We took 1 week off.
But even then we were editing.
That's true.
So let's subtract 2 of those weeks just
Okay.
for the
I'm
time
at
that we're
5,200 right
Okay,
now.
so if you subtract 200, right, then we'll be at 5,000. Okay, so that's how many hours we've worked
In a year?
in a year, right? So now we need to
36,902.
36,902.34 divided by that amount. Yep.
Oh boy. Lots of math today.
$7 per hour.
$7.38 per hour.
But that's for the two of us.
I know.
So if you divide that by 2, that means we are each making $3.6 per hour over the past year.
3.7.
3.7. Okay, we're rounding up. Okay, so now let's do the same thing, but over 3
boy.
years. So that's 15,000 hours.
56,000.
Yep, $56,631
and 70 cents divided by
15,000, right? So 3 years. We've been doing this for more than 3 years. We'll just make the math easy. So divide that by 2 again.
3.77. This is for the two of us. $3.77 per hour.
Okay,
$1.88 for the two of us.
so just under
for each
$2
of
an
us.
hour since we started.
We love this job though. So
we do love
can't-
this job.
We can't. Yeah.
It's
It's
a
not
long.
a good. It's not a good number to look into.
This is us just like self. What's the right word for what we're doing right now? We're just
Sunk cost fallacy.
sunk cost fallacy, a bit of that, but this is us just like talking ourselves into making ourselves.
Justifying?
Yeah, we're self-justifying. That's right. This is us self-justifying this. So in case you're like looking at this and you're like, hey, YouTube's a get-rich-quick scheme. It ain't. It ain't.
Yeah.
It's not at all. It's not at all.
I can imagine this is though like any other person who's starting a new business.
Yeah.
You're just investing so much more. The startup costs are not just like monetary, they're also time and effort. You're just investing now early.
Yeah.
Um
And then the hope is that we build this thing big enough where maybe our dollar rate per person will reach minimum wage.
yeah.
Or hopefully even more one
Yeah.
of these days. I don't know.
But
don't
I
know.
think like back to what we talked about last week, even though this is not a get rich scheme at all, I think we're both very, very happy with where our life has brought us.
Mhm.
And like this particular while working and making YouTube videos isn't the most lucrative business, it certainly offers a lot of freedom and it allows us to travel, which is pretty incredible.
Best job I've ever had. Definitely still a job, but the best job I've ever had.
Yeah.
No question. No question. Okay. I am a little sad now and slightly depressed, but also hopeful because our hourly wage
Hey,
doubled from when we started to right now. That's pretty great. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. We just
And-
got to do that a couple more times.
And you know, we can always streamline our work, and I think we're getting faster
Yeah.
as we go.
Or slower. I think our videos are taking longer, but we're making better videos.
I hope.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the next listener
Okay,
question.
moving on. Okay.
Okay.
This one's from
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. RM Rogers 263. Very close to Mr. Rogers,
Oh.
man.
We're just gonna call him our Mr. Rogers
Yep.
263 asks, how do you physically get your new credit cards when traveling the world? What address do you use? So this is like great
Right.
question, especially for people who are like full-time traveling or long-term traveling. How do we handle mail while we're away?
Yeah, so the service that we use for this right now is called iPostal One, and this is like a mail scanning service. So it gives you this address that's somewhere in a city nearby you,
Mhm.
hopefully. And then you just change all your stuff to send mail to this one address. And for ours, it's inside of like a office department store. And they just happen to run this at the same desk that their like photo desk runs out of. But they have all
Mhm.
these little mailboxes scattered around there. And when they receive mail, they take a picture of it. And then they ask you, do you want to open it and scan it for like 10 cents? We'll do this for you. Or we can just like toss it and shred it for
They
you.
send you an email.
Yeah, they send you an email. So we get this email anywhere in the world, and then I can just say, like, please scan this and then send a PDF to my email. So there are some weirdnesses with this, like since it's running out of a Kinko's or an Office Depot or whatever.
I'm imagining like Office Space, the movie.
Yeah. There are some weirdnesses, like they have just forgotten to scan some of our pieces of mail, or they have just thrown out some of our pieces of mail occasionally. And it really depends on like which office you go with or which service you go with. I think we're honestly going to change from iPostal one to a different one, but I don't know which one. So I
Mm.
can't say that I like it's been good, but not great. There are lots of services that do
Yeah, so
this.
we use iPostal One, but there's a lot of different ones like Traveling Mailbox, Earth Class Mail, Anytime Mailbox is another one. Escapees RV is apparently another traveling mailbox like on the road. It just takes a little bit longer, right? Because you have to first respond and say, "Can you open this?" or "You can toss this." But if you open this, I think there's also an additional fee
Yeah.
to have them like send you a physical scan of the opened envelope and open letter. So I don't know. It's like there's a lot of different ways that you can handle it. We've definitely, when we first started traveling, we've used the like, "Hey, mom and dad, could you check our mail for us and send us any pictures of anything really, really important? And by the way, if you happen to be joining us on our trip in the future, which you have in the past, can you also bring that piece of mail with you? Thanks. We love you." Like, we've definitely done that before.
Yeah. To get back to like the original question,
Mm.
which is what would we do if we got new credit cards and they sent them to this theoretical like mail service that we have? How would we get them from there to wherever we are in the world?
Yeah.
And I've had to do this before for a bunch of different reasons. One, like my debit card just stopped working, or I was in Thailand and I put my debit card into one of the ATM machines and it just ate it and
Womp
never gave it back.
womp.
And these things happen all the time. So, what do you do to sort of recover from that situation, or how do you get a new credit card on the road? And there's really only one way to do it, which is I would tell our mail forwarding service to ship it to a hotel that we're going to be at like 3 weeks from then, which means we'd have to plan out a little further than we normally do, which is normally none.
It's really hard.
Yeah. And we would just tell them to ship it internationally. And then we'd have to clear customs out of the US and then clear customs into whichever country you're going into.
Mhm.
And then we would just tell the hotel to expect this piece of mail from us. I would generally stay at one of like the bigger hotels, definitely one that has a 24-hour front desk and
Concierge.
preferably one that speaks the same language that you do. And then they would just receive the mail, hold on to it for a little while for you, and then whenever you make it there, which hopefully is right when it arrives, or you'll probably want to stay like a couple of nights in the hotel just to make sure that you're there when the mail gets there. But this has worked about a dozen times from various credit card related problems that I've had on the road, especially ones where like my card information got hacked and I needed to like cut up the card and then cancel it because, my information got leaked and then I had to get a new one. This is really the only way to solve the problem, except if you go with Schwab, like we have for our debit card, they actually offer an international service directly with them where they'll like super fast, almost overnight it anywhere in the world that you need your debit card to you. And that has been super helpful
Yeah.
a lot of times.
Like when you're really, really hosed, they have come through.
Yes.
Yeah. Also
absolutely.
not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Not sponsored. They're just a
But-
good service and we use them and we like them.
The less coordinated way, like if we knew we were going back home for any specific amount of time, whether for a wedding or for a family reunion or whatnot, we might then save that time period to kind of get our admin stuff out of the way, like taking care of mail, getting new credit cards if we're signing up for any, and reserve that chunk of time to kind of like refresh.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about this tattoo thing. I feel like we've been doing so much
Oh.
logistical stuff. It's time to talk about the greatest travel hack that I've ever seen in my entire life. The single greatest one. Okay. The government of Austria is offering a 1-year free train ticket if you get a tattoo of that train ticket somewhere on your body.
What?
Yeah,
A what?
exactly. And this train ticket, this is no small fries. This
Yeah.
thing's worth up to $1,000, or hopefully more than it would cost to get this thing laser removaled after a year after your ticket is done. But it seems like a pretty great deal.
I mean, it's catchy. I'm actually really curious. Here's the deal. So, as a way to get people on board with taking public transportation, reducing emissions, promoting, going green, basically, Austria, the government, is offering a free year of public transportation if they get a tattoo that includes the word climate ticket, which is the name of Austria's eco-friendly public transportation.
I think, do you just have to get the word tattooed on your body, or is it
So,
more specific than
It's
that?
unclear, but so I think they just have to get the name of the local travel pass climate ticket tattooed somewhere on your body.
Okay.
I don't know how you confirm this, but their like Instagram offers some options I
Oh, so
think.
maybe it has to be one of
I don't
those.
know. Like they're kind of cute. Like some of the
Oh, that train one's
example
cool. I like
tattoos
that
are
one.
kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like this Go Green one. Their whole motto is action that gets under your skin.
Wow.
What do you think?
Literally. Literally.
Would you do this?
Yeah. Oh my God.
You
Yes.
would do
Are
this
you
for the
kidding
country of
me?
Austria.
Yeah. To be able to just travel around Austria and all I got to do is get a tattoo. I don't care if I get another tattoo. Like, why would that bother me? And plus, they don't specify where you got to put it or how big it is.
That's true. On the one hand, a lot of people were super into this and were like, yeah, this is a really good way to get people on board with public transportation, reach young people, all kinds of people. And then of course, there were the naysayers that like, how dare you? How dare you use tattooing as a way to get people to promote your cause and, promote the government? I don't
Right.
really know.
Obviously, this would not work in Japan. This would not
Sure.
be an accepted form of currency in Japan in the same way that is in Austria. And I get how this could rub some people the wrong way, but I would do this in a heartbeat.
As of yesterday, this article says that 6 people have so far participated.
Whoa. Well,
So, it's reaching
should we try it?
some people. I've got a pen.
Yeah.
What?
Should we? Like,
I'm not,
do you think it would work?
I don't even know how you would prove it. Like, what? Do we fly to Austria and you'd be like,
Yeah, I would just like
here's my
pull up my
tattoo?
sleeve and bam, the tattoo would be there. There's only one way to find out, really.
You want me to try drawing on your hand?
I kind of like that train one.
Oh, boy.
I want to find out. All right, we're going to do this.
Okay.
She's going to draw this on me and we're going to take a picture and we're going to send it to this Austria climb a ticket thing and see if this is an acceptable form
Yeah, they don't
of
really say if it's like permanent, actually.
That's true.
They don't actually
That's
say.
true.
All right, where do you want it?
That's true. Well, I got one on here, so maybe like up here or something.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. We are tattooing this
Stick
thing on
around
me.
to
Yes.
see what the outcome of this one is. Which way do you want the train to face?
Going that way.
What? That's backwards.
Okay, whatever's
don't-
easiest for you to
Yeah,
draw. Whatever's easiest for you to draw, you go ahead and draw it.
I'm going to draw it like, because, yeah. Okay, here we go.
This is such a cool
This
thing.
seems-
I'm really excited about this.
You're going to have to twist your arm a little bit more.
Okay.
Wow, how I have so much respect for tattoo artists
Yeah.
who also do podcasts at the same time.
Okay, so while Lisa's tattooing me here, I'm gonna move on to the next question. Okay, so next one is from.
Oh, gosh.
Hold on, this is very small on here. Okay, from House Parade 1767 that says, "This was a great discussion. Don't worry, Josh. I thought the money part was well handled and offer a realistic look into travel content creation. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. One question for next week. When you were on one of your trip, you were on the road for months. Has this now changed to being based in Hawaii and venturing out as the flight ticket gods allow? I love that.
Mm,
Or do you think you'll head out for a longer trip again? Which do you think is more cost effective?"
wow. Yeah, well.
Okay. Great question.
Are you
Great
sure
question.
you want to have this discussion as I'm tattooing you with
Yeah.
a very precise V5 rolling ball pen?
This is gonna look great. This is girl. I'm sorry for you podcast people out there. Just go to our Instagram and you'll be able to see this finished tattoo on there. Okay, so I guess to answer the first part of this question, yes. When we were on our trip, we actually traveled straight for almost 2 years, nonstop. We were just in
Yeah.
constant motion for almost 2 years.
We didn't, the last like actual home that we lived in was probably in 2020.
Okay, so after that, then we didn't really know what to do. We kind of like came back home and we realized that we really liked full-time travel for a lot of reasons, but also the full-time travel plus content creation at the same time was pretty tiring, honestly.
Mm.
Like it burned us out a little bit. And we realized that we needed and we realized that we needed some way to sort of break that up, have a little bit of a home base so that way we could keep doing this content creation thing more full time.
Yeah, I would say that like, I mean, this was the first time that I had ever taken a full plus year off from working the 9 to 5 and traveling for this long. And you had done it before a few times and came back. I mean, our intention was never really like when we quit our jobs to travel, we didn't think this is going to be our life plan. We didn't know we were going to start a YouTube channel. We didn't
No.
know that we were going to want to keep doing this. And then after our 1 year honeymoon, we were like, let's continue traveling. Let's continue making YouTube videos. But we reached a point where we realized traveling isn't awesome. And this life is incredible. This lifestyle is incredible, but we wanted to be able to keep doing it and sustain. And we knew that if we kept going every single day at this pace, we would have stopped. Well, and while I think full time travel is certainly glamorous and exciting, and we got to experience so much more than just a 2 week vacation, we missed a lot too.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you miss out on, like the birth of your best friend's baby, or, weddings and funerals, and a lot of different things that we we didn't want to give up completely.
Yeah.
Going all in on travel was awesome for a year, but that trip, I think, if anything, taught me that, like, I want to keep traveling, but I also want to make room for all the other things that are important in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's definitely like a cost, right, to going on a trip and just sort of like dropping out of your old life for a very, very long period of time. And we just didn't want to follow the path of most of the other travel YouTubers that we saw, which was basically like full-time travel and make videos 3 times a week for just as long as you can, which for most is like 3 or 4 years or whatever. And then burn out so hard that you either have to totally quit your YouTube channel
Mhm.
entirely, that you totally give up on the entire dream and then just come back home, or have a baby and then make some vlogs about the baby and building a new house wherever you are.
Not that those are wrong things.
No, that's just not the path
Just
we
not
wanted.
that we wanted to
Y-
do that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And there's like there's definitely some burnout inherent in making YouTube videos like super frequently, cuz then every single day you're both filming and editing and traveling, and it becomes really hard to be present in the place you're in and enjoy the thing you're doing if you're constantly documenting it.
Yeah.
If that's all you're doing, if that's your number one priority and that's the only thing you're there for. So yes, our current like breakdown in time is we spend roughly a month out in the world traveling, making videos, having an awesome time. It's great. And then we come back here and we stay here and we do all the post production things. We edit all the videos. After that month, then we're all fully rejuvenated and ready to get back out in the world and travel again. And that's where we're at right now. But I think it's this balance that we found between like the full-time content creation and the life, and then actually being able to have like relatively consistent friends and a consistent life here, and being able to have consistent friends here and a consistent life and a family around us and all those other things that we were kind of missing, that we couldn't find in full-time travel, that just weren't there because we were on the road moving constantly. So
Yeah.
it was finding this balance between the two things, and I think we're pretty happy with the way things are now.
Yeah, I remember when we were in South Korea last 2 years ago, when we decided we were going to go home for a little bit. It was a little bit, we were at a crossroads. Like, do we keep going? Do we keep trying to do this thing? How do we keep going? It was a really special time because we set out to do the 1 year honeymoon, and we did it, but we didn't know what to do. We wanted to come home, but we didn't want to come home. We knew we were starting to like take traveling and YouTube, all of it, for granted, and certainly our family and friends, because we hadn't seen them in a year. And it was just this, so we spent, I think, a chunk of that time after we came back a little bit confused, a little bit unsure. Where could we spend time at home? Were we giving up a lot of, what we could create with this business if we're not full-time traveling? I mean,
Mhm.
last week we talked about how this job is hard and risky because you literally have to stop everything you're doing to travel and make YouTube videos. You can't really financially, maybe some people can, but it felt hard to to commit to this long term. We're experimenting now. We're in this phase of we're experimenting, having this home base and traveling from said home base. And I think to answer that question of, is it, is one better than the other? Financially, it's definitely more expensive, obviously, to rent and have a home and travel from said home back and forth.
Yeah.
Um,
Full-time travel, way cheaper in the long
yes.
run than having a home base. 100%.
Yeah.
Not even close.
But physically, emotionally, mentally, I just feel, I don't know, every morning I wake up and I feel happy and I feel lucky that we get to be with our friends and our family, and we get to see them more often, and we get to travel, which is, yeah, I just didn't think that that would come sooner. I mean, certainly it's a very financially risky experiment, But so far, I think we're trying to do it. We're
Yeah.
trying to make it happen.
Yeah, and we just found that if we kept on that same track that we were on, which was making a gajillion videos all the time,
Yeah.
constantly traveling nonstop, that we were just going to burn out. And we did a couple times. And this saved us from burning out and gave us a little bit of work-life balance. Not that we have a ton of that, but it gave us some, enough to consider doing this on more of like a marathon pace, which
Yeah.
is exactly what we want to do. We want to keep doing this forever, for as long as we possibly
Yeah.
can. We want to keep traveling, making these YouTube videos, and doing this. And I think that it saved this channel in a lot of ways, because there were moments, especially like that one video that we made in Sydney, Australia, when both of us were just feeling awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we literally called it like "we're burned out."
Yeah.
And at that moment, both of us were really close to just quitting,
done.
to
Yeah.
just being done with all of this. Like you said, it's a little bit about taking things for granted that should not be taken for granted, right? Absolutely not. Going on a round the world trip, like,
Wow.
what kind of headspace do you have to be in to start taking that for granted? And we were just in a bad place.
Yeah, I don't know. But we wouldn't have known all of that had we not taken that whole year to do all of that. We would not have known the things that we appreciated. I honestly thought that when we came home from our 1 year, I honestly thought when we started the 1 year honeymoon that we were just going to come right back home and start our jobs again, start looking for a job and work again. I didn't know where we were going to live.
Right.
I did not think that we were going to end up finding that the thing that we love the most is travel and being at home.
Yeah. So yes, we are still just flying wherever the flight gods allow. Like,
Yeah.
we found these crazy cheap flights via Scott's Cheap Flights, and I refuse to call it going, so it's called Scott's Cheap Flights from now until forever. $170 one way or round trip. It was like $200 round trip tickets to Sydney. One of the best deals we've ever found, and that's where we're heading soon. And the reason that we're heading there is because it was so dang cheap and awesome to go, and because we can't wait to go to Sydney and New Zealand right after that. And just seemed like a perfect mashup. What's going on? You're like,
Can you
you're just
like twist a little bit more? I got to draw the mountains.
how am I
now.
going to show this?
There are
to anyone?
mountains.
Tattoo's almost finished, by the way.
Wow, I have so much respect for tattoo artists. I mean, I always have, but
Okay, so while we're waiting for this thing to get finished, we just got 2 comments that we wanted to read that we thought were awesome from last week. First one is from Anna S9001 that says, "The way Josh looks at Lisa Hart."
what about the way that you look at me when you find out my laptop is at 2%? What about the way you look at me when I say your hair is getting in the way of this tattoo? What about the way you look at me when I say in the morning? Okay, we're done.
So this other comment from Dad Smack that says, "Please do not get rid of the Travel Thursday jingle.
Yes.
It's the best." Okay.
Yes, we
All
heard
right.
from a lot of you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so this guy says, "I'm starting my world travel next month after a 30-year career." Awesome.
Wow.
Stumbled across your channel. Travel Thursday motivated me to get moving. I
That's
love that. I
awesome.
love that. I've amassed a material amount of points in the past year and shared your channel with my adult children. Thank you so much. See, this is what we're talking about. This is like the coolest thing that could happen. I love that. I love that. Remember, new is not always improved, and bigger is not always better. Lisa and Josh. Plus, my face looks like yours when you say Scott's Cheap Flights changed to going. See? Yes. This is what I'm talking about. It's just
you
like,
have a smile on your face.
yeah, I know, but it's just like, why would you do it? You know, why would you do it? Okay, are we ready to show the artwork?
It has been complete.
Okay, hold on.
This was a fun one. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Would you get this or one of the tattoos for Austria's free public transportation for a whole year?
Okay, government of Austria, you have seen my tattoo. We're going to put this on your Instagram page, and you tell us if you think that this is good enough for us to be able to ride a train for free. And if so, we're going to try it. We're going to go there. We're going to try it early next year. We're going to Austria, and we're going to try this thing out if you guys think it's good enough.
That would be incredible if that worked.
That would be so amazing.
This was a really fun one. Thanks so much for all your questions. Thank you for listening. If you're listening on a podcast platform, thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to leave a question in the comments below. Travel-related question for next week's Travel Support Thursday from, I think we'll be in Sydney.
Yeah, from Sydney. Most upvoted questions, they get answered every week. So be sure to vote And be sure to leave a question in the comments. Okay. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye now.
Travel
Bye.
Thursday.
See you later.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for coming. Bye.
Should we outro with Travel Thursday?
Travel Thursday.
See you later.
See you later.